I will persist. And the key word, the underscore is until. So when you start to program your mind to attain success, irrespective of the adversity, you should be able to pull on the internal softwares that you would have buried inside of yourself, so that you can hear, I will persist until I succeed. Remember, the hidden curriculum of success allows no man or woman to attain success without first passing through the persistence test. So you have to make an upfront decision in full, even before you start your journey, even when you're mastering your skills. Know that you're going to face some obstacles, some trials, and some tribulations that is going to test you on your way to success. But you have to ensure that you amalgamate yourself with the characteristics of being a persistent person. I shall persist until I succeed.
Okay. I guess that is the universe's way of testing you to see if you really want this also.
You have to be evenly yoked to the goal. And that's a big statement right there. You have to be evenly yoked on all dimensions to the achievements that you wrote down on paper that you will and must have, that you already have. And then we could also, add in some resilience. Because resilience is the ability to be flexible in the midst of adversity and find another way to continue attaining the goal. So let me give some examples. I was doing a little digging just to, highlight to the audience some of the companies that they know, love, and trust that has stood the test of time through being perseverant for certain, persistent, and definitely resilient. Here's one of the shockers. Again, it was a shocker to me. Of course, when I say the word Nokia, everybody knows that it's associated with phones. Are you aware that Nokia, when they first started as a company, guess what product they sold? Before I tell you. Yeah, Nokia. Think about it. Trinidad, think about it. Nokia. Everybody know Nokia.
Mouse pads?
Yeah, no. Nokia sold toilet paper.
So how did they transition from...
Good question, right? Good question. And it's not even a matter of how they transition. They had a goal, of course. And obviously we could assume they had to be persistent and resilient. They had to be flexible. And they continued to win. So sometimes you may actually set an objective and you may select a vehicle. The vehicle may not work out, or things may not work out. But remember, you have to decide to persist before you start. So even when unforeseen presents itself, you have to be flexible enough to probably change how you go about doing a thing, but still achieving that thing.
Well, I guess with the pivoting is what will allow it to transition or morph into what it really needs to be.
Correct. Let me give you some next examples. Crazy. Samsung. Everybody knows Samsung. Samsung started as a grocery. Crazy, eh?
It is. Definitely did not know that.
A grocery. Lamborghini. Their first product was a tractor. You could this is online. This is information online.
That's quite interesting.
LG. You wouldn't believe what LG's first product was.
What was it?
A facial cream. And these are brands. When mentioned, it's associated with success.
Correct.
But when you become an entrepreneur, you see the average person isn't told up front that you're going to have to dance with adversity on your way to success. You're going to have to decide to be persistent before you start. And you're going to have to develop the characteristic of being resilient. Resilient meaning I get back up as quick as possible, even though I fell today. Fall 6 times, get back up 10.
So when we bring it home, and let's say, for example, someone could decide, okay, I like cooking or I like catering or so on, and I'm going to start off by selling breakfast, but adversity could possibly present itself on this journey.
Correct.
And
it will.
they may eventually transition from catering from breakfast to probably selling a product, or
Yeah.
even move into selling appliances
Definitely.
or anything like that.
Definitely.
So you just really need to kind of like ride that wave, go with the flow, and
Correct
try
is
to
right.
pivot in
Find your way. And I could safely say, for example, I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sold and advocated so many different products and services.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that as a badge of enforceability for who I am as an individual. Because I'm still the same person that stands on certain principles.
Right.
But guess what? The product may have changed. And I'll share something, that I discussed last night with one of my mentors. He said, Kishon, quick question. When you go into the entrepreneurial space and you speak from a leadership standpoint, does people follow the message or the messenger?
Messenger. Because you're an example.
Correct
you're a walking
is right.
example of what it is.
Correct is right. And he said, let me tell you why. Because sometimes the message could change.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Remember Nokia was a toilet paper, friends. Remember Samsung was a grocery. Remember LG was a facial cream. But these are companies that we know for certain has the hallmark of success attached to them when mentioned. But guess what? Remember, there are certain characteristics that you have to adopt on your way to master making money. And one of those, persistence. You have to decide to be persistent. You have to appreciate, you have to understand that you're going to face adversity, you're going to face trials and tribulations. But up front and full, before you even start your journey, decide, I will persist until I succeed. Irrespective of what you face, decide to be resilient. And let me give you one of the best examples. Again, I was taught by one of my money mentors of resilience and flexibility. He said one of the most resilient and flexible trees that we could see is the coconut tree. He says it stands most times in sand. That, when the human walks, your feet can sink into it, because most times they grow tall by the beaches.
Yeah.
He says they hardly have branches in comparison to other trees. He says, but when the storm comes, when you compare the coconut tree to the average tree that you may have in your backyard, like the avocado and so forth, he said that coconut tree is going to sway wherever the wind carries it, in the midst of the hurricane, in the midst of the storm. And chances are excellent, at the end of the storm, you're going to see that coconut tree still standing, and you could possibly see another tree with more branches broken. That's the strength of becoming resilient and flexible in the midst of adversity. I remember that analogy like the first day I heard it. Because I saw the picture of the coconut, because I mean, we grew up in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Coconut tree galore.
Right.
And we know for certain, in the midst of storms, they just flex with the wind, wherever the wind goes. But it's a mechanism. And guess what? When the storm is over, they stand tall and proud. Resilience. Yeah.
So as we summarize, Kishon, for those who are out there and actually hearing what you're saying and getting it, right? They're getting it. And they're ready to start. What do you say to them in summarizing?
Never give up. 1, decide you're not going to quit. Connect with a money mentor, because you always need someone that went before to coach and guide. Right? What is a money mentor? Somebody that can help you make it, multiply it, manage it, master it, magnetize it, the M's. But you also need the millionaire mindset. I only shared 2 characteristics of the millionaire mindset. You have to decide to be persistent, and you have to decide to be resilient in your journey. Because guess what? You will, and the key word here is will, face adversities. You will face trials, you will face tribulations. And what is going to differentiate if you have success or not is when you ask yourself the question, am I success? Because remember, only successful people attain success. Success is not an event. Success is an individual. Success is a person that has amalgamated themselves with certain characteristics and principles that allow them to continuously create, maintain success, especially in the midst of adversity. And